Good afternoon. It's great to see all the faces. We have a few empty chairs. I was teasing Skip. Secondarily, he holds that microphone, but he didn't want to use it. He knows we have a microphone. So we have extra chairs if folks over back here in the left corner if somebody walks in. So let's go ahead and get started.
Good afternoon. I have a couple announcements. The first is the podiatrist. Our new provider started this week. So Jane has been working really hard this week to get your reminders out. So if you haven't received it yet, you will be soon. We've had good feedback on the residents that saw her this week. I know it's a different change of pace, but we will work through it. So we're excited about that beginning. Also, I wanted to take a minute to brag on my medical transportation team. So we were looking at numbers. In December of 2023, we did 105 transportations that month. And this past month, we did 153. So that's amazing. So if they look more busy, they are. But Danielle, John, and Steve do a tremendous job. And so if you see them, just tell them an extra thank you because they really have helped you get to the medical appointments you need to get to. And lastly, our big news, when is the COVID vaccine coming to Rolling Green? We'll officially have the date. So November 8th. There will be red pink flyers at the doors that you can grab with information. So November 8th is the vaccine. Harris Teeter will do them. Sign-ups are Monday, 12:30 to 1:30. We also are going to be doing RSV. We had mentioned maybe doing pneumonia, but at this time we're just going to do the two. So RSV and COVID will be at this clinic. So Monday, October 14th, this coming Monday, 12:30 to 1:30, I'll be in the library to do sign-ups. We are also saying we're not able to take walk-ins at the clinic on November 8th because with RSV, the billing's a little different. So it's important that I get your information to Harris Teeter so they can run your information and you can know in advance if there's a cost or copay. So in saving you, we want to make sure you sign up in advance so there will be no walk-ins for those. But we're excited that we're bringing them to campus. I know a lot of you have been asking about it. Hope you have a great day.
Good afternoon. Just want to give a quick update on some fundraising adventures that's going on at Rolling Green. We've been working with the wood shop and they are adding more to their little corner of the world, and we're going to be having an open house sometime in November, inviting everybody to come and see some of the new equipment that's been purchased. Our prayer chapel committee continues to meet. We are in our third week, I think, of meeting, and progress is slowly but surely being made in that. We're still on target for hopefully grading on the middle of November and then construction to start the 1st of January. If we have no hurricanes and no snowstorm and no rain and whatever else that can happen. I want...
Does that mean you've raised your $1 million?
No, it does not. No, I'm not that good. I've still got a little ways to go with it. We're going to be kicking off over the next 6 weeks an active campaign to start really raising money. We do have seed money that's almost $140,000 that's covering some of the initial cost, and we'll be going from there.
Why would you start construction without the money?
Because we have a backup plan. Rolling Green has offered to get us going, and then we're going to raise the funds after that, which is truly a blessing from a fundraiser's point of view. Okay, we are planning on doing a disaster relief fundraiser for Helene, and we all know how devastating Helene has been to especially the remote parts of North Carolina. On Monday, the the Monday after the storm hit on Friday, the activities director, Amy, sent out a one call, and within a short period of time, we had a bunch of blankets and food donated for the local animal shelters here in Greenville. In fact, one of the residents had to make 2 trips. His car was filled up, and then he had to come back to make the second trip. So thank y'all who participated in that. Yesterday, another one call went out for warm clothing for a group of residents to take to Burnside, North Carolina. Burnsville? Burnside, that's right, I thought it was Burnside. Over 24 bags and 12 boxes of items were collected from residents of Rolling Green. By 8 p.m. last night, less than even 8 hours almost, a 14-foot trailer was loaded, and today it left for a fire department in that area who will be the location where people can come and get the warm clothing. I think it was a little chilly this morning for me. Can you imagine what it's like up in the mountains when you have nothing? So this remote area has been cut off without power, without water, and just basic supplies. So once again, Rolling Green Village residents rose to the occasion to answer a need. Now, Rolling Green residents and leadership have once again decided to come to the aid of our neighbors. And we will be setting up a disaster relief fund. This fund will only be open until October the 30th, Wednesday, October the 30th. So it'll only be going for give or take, about 2 weeks. There are some forms on the piano if you're interested. I will have it also posted on the portal. What we're doing, we wanted to make sure that the residents got a tax credit. And so what we're going to have happen is you will write your check to Rolling Green Village, and then in the memo line, if you will please put disaster fund. Now on your sheet that you fill out, you will have the choice of selecting either the American Red Cross in North Carolina, and we're not going through the national group. We're going directly to the local chapter where they can dispense the funds. And the other one is Leading Edge. And Leading Edge, I'm sure you've heard Ryan talk about it. It's an organization that helps with retirement centers. And they have put out a call for help with retirement centers in the North Carolina area. Some are without power, some are without water, and it could be a long time. So you can make your choice if you're interested in to donate to one of those 2 areas. And again, we need to have it in by Wednesday, October the 30th, if you can do that. Other questions? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. So if some of y'all coming in today to the meeting saw our new bus is here. After seems like 3 years, we finally got it. So anyway, immediately following this meeting, we will have the bus open. We're just gonna have like a little festive event. You can go look at the bus, get a candy bar, and we'll have a little music playing and just have a little party. So y'all are welcome to come out and look at the bus. Some of y'all rode on it yesterday, I think. So yeah, it's good. Good. So, everybody's welcome to go look at it. We don't have the name on it yet. Stan's working on that. He's been really great. He's been working on doing all the things that we need to do to make sure that it's able to be on the road, like getting the DOT numbers on. We had to get an inspection before we can do that. So, and he's working on having the name put on both sides. So it will be there, even though it's not there right now. October 18th, we will be having our trivia night again. That's next Friday. So I've decided you don't have to sign up. I know some people don't like signing up for stuff, so it's fine. We don't have to sign up. Y'all can just come, and there's teams of 4. If you have a team, bring them with you. If you don't have a team, we'll make one for you. Okay, we'll find some people to put together and make a team. So we want y'all to come, and you're going to be competing against Dick Dabrowski and the Three Brainy Brawls. That was their name. That was their team name. And they were the Smartinis last time, and they have the trophy. So they'll be bringing that with them, and so y'all will be competing for the Smartini trophy. October 30th is our Halloween party and costume contest. We have it every year. We didn't do it on Halloween this year because we thought we were going to be going to the rodeo, but that's canceled because we had to reschedule. We thought we might be doing trick or treat that night, but it's still for the 30th. So, wear your costumes. You don't have to dress up if you don't want to. It's a free event. We have a lot of fun. We usually have some trivia, Halloween trivia. We give out prizes for that and for the costumes. So it's just a fun night. And just make sure you sign up on the portal so we'll know how much food to have. If you don't want to sign up or you don't use the portal, you can call one of us and we'll sign you up. Okay? We will have a DJ for that, and it'll just be a lot of fun. Our Veterans Program is November the 8th at 10 o'clock in here. And then our Veterans Lunch is immediately following. So everyone is welcome to the Veterans Program. And then all veterans and their spouses are welcome to come to the lunch afterwards. It's at noon. And just make sure, just sign up on the portal if you want to come. Or if you don't use the portal, call me and I'll sign you up. On Veterans Day, which is November the 11th, that's on Monday, Kevin O'Mara is going to be in here at 2 o'clock, and he's going to show the movie that he is in called Threshold: A Blue Angel Experience. Kevin was a Blue Angel. He's shown the movie before. There's a lot of new people that haven't seen it. So he will be here. We'll show the movie, and then he will answer questions. So that should be a nice event on that day. And then I just scheduled, I haven't put it on the portal yet, but I will, the holiday fair that we have every year where we have vendors come in from the outside, but then we also have some of our own residents who sell items to other residents or to staff. And that will be on Tuesday, December 3rd from 11 to 2 in the Hummingbird Casual Dining Room. So I'll have that on. It wasn't in the highlights this week, but I will make sure that it's in there next week. Like I said, I just set the date. So, does anyone have any questions?
I have a comment.
Okay.
There is no dinner out in November, even though it's been posted on the portal.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the dinner club is not meeting November and December, so I will take that off. I meant to do that already. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Heard from the hotel yet?
We have not. Now, I know Sophia was working on that. She did go on a bus trip today, so she asked about the St. Augustine trip. I don't think that area was that affected, but we will be in contact with them to make sure everything's still set for that. As far as we know, we're still planning on going.
New bus?
Yes. New bus. We'll be going to St. Augustine. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. We're going to start with census and then kind of get into some other updates that we have. And I'm also going to talk briefly about open enrollment as that starts next week. We'll start with census. So currently in the health center, we're 93% occupied. Out of 65 out of 70 beds are occupied. In Cedars, we're 89% occupied.
And in EP and Evergreen Place, as we all know, that's been a primary area for growth over the past year, and we've gotten to that point. So we currently have 20 out of 22 beds in Evergreen Place occupied. So we've made a lot of strides over the past couple of months, and Trina Harris, that you met a few months ago, has taken that role on and been successful in the past couple of months. So when she started, we were actually around 11 out of 22 beds, so she's grown that exponentially for sure.
Wow.
So that's census. I want to talk a little bit about open enrollment. So as you all know, open enrollment starts next week. It starts on the 15th of October and goes until December the 7th. We will be pushing out some communication probably the beginning of next week in regards to what Medicare Advantage plans we're in contract with, so that way you're aware of those. As of right now, obviously we're in contract with traditional Medicare, so if you have a traditional Medicare plan, we do take traditional Medicare and then any secondary that comes along with that. And then Blue Cross Blue Shield, as we mentioned a couple of months ago, we're now back in network with, for that to be a primary payer. And then Humana, Aetna, Cigna, and then United Healthcare. So we're all in contract with those, but if you have any questions specifically about your plan, I'm more than happy to discuss that with you. If you are looking at traditional Medicare or the secondary, or if you're looking at going with a Medicare Advantage plan, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. So just feel free to give me a call, and my information will be on this letter. I did have a resident call me this week, and I spent some time with her, and it was really eye-opening for her. We do feel for us to be a provider that Medicare, traditional Medicare with a secondary, is probably the best way for a resident to go. And we all know that there's many plans because everyone has different needs, and I'd be happy to talk through those needs with you if you have any questions. But look for this communication next week. Any questions in regards to open enrollment at this moment? No? Okay. I want to talk about the Halloween festival. So traditionally, we've always done trick-or-treating with the licensed areas, and then after they finish in the licensed areas, the children come over to independent living. So this year we're going to do something a little bit different. And with all of the chaos from the storms and the delays in school, we felt that combining a fall festival that we had planned in November and combining it with Halloween would be our best bet. So we're actually going to do a Halloween festival on October 26th, and the Community Life Services team and outreach team are working together with that. That is a Saturday, and it's from 3 to 5. And it will take place out in the Village Center parking lot. So all of our residents from all of our higher levels of care will be out, and then we'll have, if you want to volunteer as an independent living resident, you're able to do that. You can see Amy to sign up, but that will be your opportunity to see kids and do trick-or-treating at that time. So again, October 26th from 3 to 5. Any questions in regards to that? Okay. And then I want to talk a little bit about some success. So as we all know, we've mentioned from different departments the battles that came with Hurricane Helene. As you know, is in our area over in the higher levels of care, it's difficult when we lose power. And I know even some independent living residents need power if they have oxygen needs or can't live without a CPAP at night. There's certain needs that we have, and we monitor that. So with that, I will say that Shannon took that role on and helped to move those residents that live in independent living to a higher level of care, because we do have emergency generator use in the higher levels of care, and I'll say that was a huge success. However, Friday night around 9:30, our generator for the health center failed. Yeah. And it's not, so we have 4 different generators across campus. There are 2 that run the higher levels of care. One runs Evergreen Place, the kitchen, and rehab, and that is fully powered. If you walk over and electricity's out, you can't tell a difference. Everything is fully operating as normal. But the health center runs on minimum generator power. So what that includes is you have your emergency outlets that are in each resident room. So those are usually where your beds are plugged in. If you have oxygen, that's where your oxygen, anything that you would need power for. And then it also continues with hallway lighting and then a light in each resident's room. So I was here with Shannon Friday evening around 9:30 getting IL residents settled. We were getting ready to walk out the door, and I was standing at the nurses station in the health center, and it went completely dark. And it was shocking. I called Skip. Skip came in. We started to try to problem solve. It wasn't a diesel issue. It wasn't a battery issue. We switched out of batteries. Nothing we could do. We did put a service call in, and they came out the next morning. They told us that a fuse had blown. We replaced the fuse. With that fuse being replaced, when the generator came back on, the alternator stalled and then our belt broke on the generator. So nothing we really could have even thought that would happen. Luckily, we were in the daylight hours at that point. Skip did work to get a temporary generator put in place, and that arrived around 11 o'clock Saturday evening. But as you all know, our electricity was stored around 7:30 Saturday evening, which we were very thankful for, that we were only out for 36 hours rather than days on end. I know personally I was out for 9 days in my house, and there are other employees who there's still people in the Greenville County who are out of power. So we were very fortunate there was only a day and a half and not days on end. But during that time, when the electricity the generator did go out in the health center, I feel like our team really pulled together because it's the most vulnerable section of people. And it's 9:30 at night, so you have less staff here because everyone's asleep. And everyone was asleep, so we had to get residents up and we had to move some to rehab because rehab was fully powered. We had to decide if any residents that were on oxygen, we had to move them to a room. Any residents that were on a specialty mattress, we had to move them out or either switch their mattresses if needed. And I do feel like our team in that moment, it's scary. It was a very scary situation because you're dealing with the most vulnerable section of people in the community. And I do feel like our team worked really well together in putting a plan together and getting those residents to where they needed to be. So we did get everybody to rehab, and everything was good through Saturday. And then once our electricity came back up Sunday morning, we moved everyone back to healthcare into their rooms. So that's, we can't predict everything. We can work through those situations. We did sit down as a department head team this week and talk through what happened, what we could do differently, what things do we need in anticipation if something like this happened again. I don't think anyone in this room anticipated the storm to be as severe as it was. I think I was anticipating a severe thunderstorm. And I drove in around 6:30 Friday morning, and I'm like, okay, this is not a severe thunderstorm. This is a little more significant than that. And it continued to develop, and we all felt the effects of that. Luckily, we did not feel it as hard as other areas like Western North Carolina, but we are thankful for the teamwork and the leadership in those moments to be able to get residents to a safe area. But that is all I have. Does anybody else have any questions or questions?
No, but you deserve a big round.
It wasn't me, it was our team for sure. Nursing leadership, I'm just very thankful that it happened when there was leadership here instead of in the middle of the night when we have less staff and less support here. I'm thankful for Skip's leadership and Ryan for being able to come in quickly and be able to address. We'd all been here the whole day making sure that residents were taken care of. And I do think that we make a good team. So, thank you.
Mary Rose, my son lives in North Carolina, Rutherfordton. He lost about 30 trees on his property.
That's a lot. It's a lot. Is he okay now?
I didn't hear
So she said, Miss Helen said that her son lost around 30 trees on his property alone.
And he now has poison ivy all over his body.
It definitely could have been a worse situation. I think everyone saw the effects that Rolling Green had. And I mean, Ryan and I drove downtown Tuesday for an event, and downtown Greenville was no, not pretty for sure. And it could have been a lot worse. We're very thankful to not have any structural damage. It could have been a lot worse, and that's why we wanted to sit down as a team and figure out no one anticipated what we received. There's really only one person who can tell us what's actually going to happen. So we're just going to try to anticipate those needs as much as possible. So.
Well, God was good to him. He did not have a tree to fall on his house.
Well, that was great. I will tell you to please be mindful. There are a lot of employees who have lost their homes over the past couple of weeks, and probably family members of yours and other people in the Greenville area. So just please be mindful of that, as we all do not know what's going on in an employee's life outside. Yes, ma'am. I would kudos that. The dining room staff served not only you, but served staff members and staff members' families, and did well with doing that and anticipating those needs and making sure that, Rolling Green had the resources and we were able to step up and be able to care for those people. Yes, ma'am.
Are any of the staff still staying here?
We have no more staff that are here residing at Rolling Green. But we did have staff stay Friday night, Saturday night, and then some a little bit longer than that. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
All right, did want to jump in with a little bit extra commentary around some of the items. I thought it was amazing to see some of this resident-driven giving that we had over the last couple of days, pulling together, and whether it's for the Humane Society or whether it's for taking coats up to North Carolina. I think it's truly pretty special to see us come together and give back. So I thought that was really great to see and feel here. Medicare open enrollment. I want to echo what Anna Grace mentioned about working with us to try to learn more about it. I think a lot of times people don't know exactly what they're signing up for, and just reiterating that traditional Medicare is a great insurance option. Sometimes if you go with a provider that's Medicare Advantage, it may not have as much choice, and you may move through a setting a little quicker than you would want, and that's what we've seen typically over the years. So just be mindful of that, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. The generator that Anna Grace was talking about was actually, it was created in 1989. So we've got to replace that generator. We do test it monthly based upon the requirements, but we don't test it for 12 plus hours at 100% load capacity. So that's the key thing. And when something like that breaks, you can't find a part for something from 1989 very quickly or very locally. So we're still working through that. We have had to have a temporary generator here just in case something were to happen. It's not cheap, but it is something that we have to do to make sure we have safety for our residents. I want to thank Skip because the power had already come back on. I called him and I said, the generator's coming. Is it from Tennessee or Georgia?
Generator came out of Atlanta. The technicians came out of Tennessee.
So we were able to figure something out to where the generator came in from Atlanta. I think around 11 o'clock-ish, Saturday night after the power was already restored. Skip came up and assured he would be here to make sure it was installed correctly. But the gentleman that was the electrician was going to hook it up didn't get in until about 1 a.m. So again, Skip was here to make sure that he was here, knew where to go, and then the actual generator wasn't completely ready until 3 a.m. Just to make sure that we had that here. So it still remains with us today. So we are hopeful to find that part for the Kohler generator, and after some discussion yesterday, we are continuing to move forward with looking at a new generator for that space, because it's not gonna do us for the next few years. We have a representative from Generac that's going to be out next week to visit with Skip and the team to talk about what we can do to create a new generator option for us. So let's move forward. Oh, you want to go back there? So just did want to echo all the support of all the residents. I know somebody mentioned the dining room. They did an amazing job. The dining room did, serving multiple people, 270 plus, I think, on multiple days. And as Anna Grace mentioned, a lot of our folks didn't have power. They had a lot of stresses at home, but they continued to show up, and they were here, and they provided great service, and it's great to get that feedback. I do strongly feel we're pretty blessed with the damage that we did not have and how the short power outage affected us. A lot of folks, Anna Grace, 9 days without power. Just talked to a staff member earlier this week, I think, who just got power back on Monday at 11 a.m. So there was a lot more struggle than what we experienced. We did go through a department head after action review to assess some of our communication, some of our resources, and ways that we can improve moving forward. So we just started on that as a team, and we're going to continue to revamp the policies that we have to make sure we can be better. I heard a lot of good things, but on the inside, we felt like we could have done things a little differently. So that's part of what I borrowed the phrase from somebody I used to work with, which we call an autopsy without blame. So looking at doing an autopsy without blame to be better moving forward. And then I mentioned next week we've got GenRac coming in. That's kind of the first action item for us. We are going to look, and I mentioned with the last power outage, we're going to complete a study and understand what our needs are across campus. We do have 4 generators. How much would it cost to do additional wiring? How much would it cost to upgrade one of those generators? What's the current age of our current ones, and what do we need to do to make sure that next time when the power goes out, we don't have a generator that fails? It was extremely stressful and difficult on top of everything else that we're working on. So let's go ahead and move forward.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, if you can give me just a minute, let's go through this, and then you can definitely ask a question. Wanted to share August financials. We had a good month of August, so this is the month of October, so I'm going back a little bit. We did just finish September, but I want to talk about August today. We had a good month. Occupancy-wise, we continued to exceed expectations, and that helped us to achieve revenues that were about $49,000 above. We got a bump from the operating expenses side, where there was a PTO accrual that was reversed, so we were over accruing some of our paid time off. That was about a $23,000 reversal in the month of August. And we also got a $56,000 food credit from Cisco. So Life Care Services, our management company, develops relationships through a group purchasing organization. And somebody within the group purchasing organization recognized that there was years worth of an issue with pricing. So they did quite a bit of research, and there's about 12 different LCS communities that got credits going back multiple years, I think potentially back to 2019. So we got a $56,000 credit, which also helped us in the month of August. So that's why our operating expenses were $92,000 under. So the overall net operating income that we achieved was $261,478. That was $141 above what we had planned to achieve in August. So it was the best month of the year. It gives us a little bit of a cushion as we go forward into the last quarter of the year. So, you got a question?
I'm new and I don't know who you are.
Go ahead, say that again. I want to hear it again.
I said we've only been here a couple of weeks, and I don't know who the staff is, and you're the only one that hadn't identified yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's great to hear. I think maybe a year ago somebody also said that, and in my role, so my name is Ryan Turner. I work as the executive director here, and most everybody knows my name. That can be a good thing and a bad thing, but it's kind of neat to hear that. So it just comes with the role. So welcome. So this is I do want to point out the fact that some people like to call this Ryan's meeting. It's not my meeting. I've thought about maybe changing the name of the meeting, but it's an opportunity for the leadership team, myself included, to talk about what happened over the last month and some key things that impact you all. So, all right, welcome. The next slide. I forgot to print off the slide deck, so I want to give an update on phase 2. There's a couple things I wanted to share. Number one, we started the priority sales process on July 8th, so we're right around 90 days in. Talked to Ruth a little bit ago. We have 58 committed sales deposits in the first 90 days, which is a pretty good number. We do need to get to 90. So it's slowed down a little bit. Some of that comes from folks that have maybe changed their mind. Some of that also comes from folks who we've not gotten to yet. So we do still have to make appointments, to actually have appointments with some of the folks. So we originally start off with a little over 100. So 58 out of 100 is a pretty good conversion rate. But we have to go in sequential order. So you start up from 1 and you work your way all the way down. So if number 92 can't come in for a week, we can't skip over 92 and go to 93. So we have to wait in line. So that is causing a little bit of a delay here towards the end of the list. So we've gotten through quite a few. I think there was close to maybe 10, but it changes by the day. And then the other piece, Lexi's out of the office this week. David is out of the office as well. So the folks that have signed them up, they want to sit down with those folks as a relationship. So Ruth has appointments, Lexi has appointments, and David. But we're getting close to the end of that list. But 58 is still a really good number, and we're going to continue to work towards that 90 number, which we need. We actually don't have planned to achieve until December of 25. But 58 is a great start. I want to make sure you all know about the town hall. We sent out the flyer. So the resident town hall, the next one that we have is going to be next week. That is going to be with Tom Bowden with H.J. Sims. Tom is an investment banker that actually helped us with phase 1. He was formerly with BB&T, but now is with Herbert J. Sims, which is an investment banking firm. So he's going to come in and talk about how the financing came together for phase 1, but he's also going to talk about what he foresees helping us to secure financing for phase 2 and looking at that permanent financing. So there's been a lot of questions from residents around how's that going to work. $140 million project is significant. Do you guys know what you're doing? That's why we have these subject matter experts that are here to walk alongside us and help us to navigate these pretty complex transactions. So you'll get a chance to meet Tom next week. He's going to be on site. He lives in Virginia. Talked to him today in preparation for next week. The other thing I wanted to share for next week, in addition to Tom, we're also going to have some of our board members are going to be present for those meetings. So there's been some discussion from residents saying that at times that don't feel like our board members are in tune with what's going on and understand what it's like to be a resident, or they're not visible, they're not accessible, they're not communicating. So we have quarterly board meetings, so I had a chance to stress that at the last board meeting, which is back in the summer. We have another board meeting coming up this month. But I have been able to work with our board members, so there's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 at each of those meetings. You'll get a chance to say hello, but they will be here. And my hope is that as we move into 2025, there'll be more opportunities for you all to meet some of the board members and to get to know them a little bit. They are volunteering their time. They're not paid anything. They truly are committed to helping guide some of our decisions that we make. Some of them have relatives here, some of them don't. But they are very much committed to service and being here to help guide the organization through this time. So there's going to be a couple of them here next week. So we'll make sure that you all know who those folks are. And like I said, as we move forward into 2025, we'll have other opportunities for you all to maybe say hello and visit them. I do want to clarify that our board members are governing board members, so they're not management board members. That the governing board volunteers have hired Life Care Services to help manage the organization. So they're really not involved in the day-to-day. They're more at a higher level, at a governance level. But they are key people to help guide some of our major decisions, and they collaborate with myself and with Life Care Services to execute the day-to-day operations. So more to come there. So that's a copy of the flyer. Did everybody get the flyer? No? Nobody got the flyer? I think it went out last Friday. Now last Friday there was a lot going on. So it may have got lost in the shuffle, the highlights. But it's also posted on the portal, right? Yep. So again, that's next Tuesday in this room. There's 2 sessions, similar to the other sessions we've had. You don't need to come to one, be the same content at both. 1 o'clock or 2:30. So myself will be there, Tom Bowden will be there, and also Lucas Shaw, who's our project manager from Life Care Services Development. He'll be here as well. The guy with the beard. Yep, the beard. Okay. Next one. This is something that you all may not be aware of quite yet, but we're going to talk more about next week. A couple weeks ago, our board finalized interim financing to help us with phase 2. So we secured a $10.7 million tax-exempt facility revenue bond with the support of HJ Sims. So why would we do that? Well, we talked before that our pre-development costs went from 1.5 to 5.5, and this revenue bond helps us to cover those costs over the next couple of years. So you look down in the blue area, the 3 primary reasons are to finance the pre-development costs and also do some current capital expenditure projects. We're going to finance the construction of the project, which is listed there, 68, 36, 32, 24, and then also finance the cost of issuance of the bond. So this is very similar to what we did during phase 1, is finding some interim financing to help bridge that gap between current operations to where the new operations are. So move forward to the next one. So as I mentioned, in 2018, we secured a similar type of interim financing for phase 1, the cottages and the commons. And HJ Sims helped RGV secure this phase 2 financing with our current banking partner. So we were actually able to secure this financing with Truist Securities. And when we were starting these discussions, there was not a lot going on. This is right before the change in the interest rates by 0.5%. And Truist had not given many other loans prior to this. They've kind of closed up for the last couple of years because of COVID and the environment. So this is one of the first deals from what Tom had indicated to me that Truist has done. And that comes back to the overall relationship that we have with Truist and the overall success of our organization, that they did not hesitate to extend this interim financing to us, which is something to be said during a time when there's been not a lot of loans that Truist has given, but they recognize the strength of our organization and the relationship that we have. So again, Tom with HJ Sims, he can share a little bit more about that next week with you all. But that financing is going to help us to cover the pre-development costs. We also have some capital expenditure projects that we need to do that we know about. We've talked about it before, the fire panels, which are long overdue to be replaced. We're going to need to add the generator from 1989 to that list. So this interim financing will help us to cover some of these costs. One of Tom's other recommendations with this is that this financing helps us to cover some of the costs as we move forward in 2026 towards financing. We're going to be able to have a stronger balance sheet in 2024 and 2025. So when we go to that permanent financing, which could be for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, our financials are going to look that much stronger, and hopefully we'll secure that better of a long-term rate. So again, Tom can go through this more in depth next week when he's here. A couple campus improvement updates, the sidewalk improvements. We are still waiting for a bid. Maven did come out this week, right, Skip? Dave Don, we're trying to get them to give us a bid as well for the sidewalk improvement. We did have Clemson Landscape Architecture students out. I don't know if everybody saw them a few weeks back. It was a great opportunity. We think they might also have some ways they can help us with this whole lakeside lake project. We had over 30 students, 3 faculty members. It was a really great opportunity, a great new partnership. We will have a master's level student that'll be here to do a project. He wants to focus on the water and focus on measurements. It'll be his master's project. And we'll also have some students do some smaller projects with us. So that's still more to come there. My hope is that they'll have an opportunity to interface with you all, engage with you all, and talk about the things that are important. So I know we had three residents that were here for that. And I wanted to thank them for their time as well for that entire day, and they provided some really great perspective. The apartment lobby furniture artwork has been hung. We are still waiting for a few more pieces of furniture, I think, in the CD lobby. The Village Green Courtyard, I sent another note today. We're waiting for the architect that we're working with, Batson, to give us some architectural plans for the renderings that were completed by Earth Design. So that's a little bit of a hold up there. But we do want to move forward with that courtyard redesign of the arbor, and also adding a smaller structure to that space. So that's another resident subcommittee that's been helping us with that. And Hooksmith Sidewalk, there's no new updates there. Keep going. And this is where I want to have Skip talk a little bit about the pool and where we're at with the pool renovations.
Good afternoon. For those, I want to introduce myself, Skip Wiggins. I'm the Director of Facilities and over Safety and Security, but nobody cares about me. It's all about Sasha that rides around in the golf cart with me. So she's the hit. I'm just a sidekick. But anyway, I want to bring you up to date on the pool, where we are. Tomorrow they will be out to do the pressure testing on the piping. So they'll be in tomorrow. What they'll do is they plug up all the pipes and they pump it up, pressurize it, see if it holds, to make sure there's not any leak in those pipes that go through the pool and the ground back to the pump room. So they'll be working on that. What they've done so far is they have painted, varnished, and sanded all the stainless, all the steel that's in there in the beams, and then they've come back and varnished those things to seal that up. And they've done all, if you've had a chance to look in through the exercise area, you can see the beams and all and how great they look. They painted the walls. We sort of shifted to a lighter blue in there and changed some colors. They have put the first coating on the floor, the decking material, and then we've got some pictures here. Okay, so all those pot marks are not, they've been in there jackhammering and taking all the soft spots out of the pool walls and the pool floor. And that's what happens over time, because this is 2012, so we're 12 years old into that. You get uneven spots, so like in your concrete and other places. And so what they're doing is they're breaking those all out. So they'll be coming back in. I think they'll be in here the week after next. And then they'll start putting what's called a pebble finish on the walls of the pool and the floor of the pool. So they'll be doing that. They're also, if you're looking at some of the pictures, you can see, you want to switch over? Okay. That right there is the light fixtures. So they're changing the canisters and stuff in there. They're also redoing where all the ladders are. We are putting in longer ladders. So, so people were having trouble getting their knees up like me to be able to get to that top ring. So now they're going to be longer on the sides there and there, so it'll be easier to use those. But all new stainless steel railings and steps. They're also redoing the sleeves that go inside the pool, where these go into, because they've been rusting. Again, they're 12 years old. So working on that. And the plastering and all, that will take a little bit of time. They've also, the tile, if you look in there, you can see around above the steps along the top of the sides, right up underneath the decking, all those tiles, if you remember, have been removed. So we've got new tiles that are going in there. The pool itself, the flooring is sort of going to have a bluish hue on the bottom rather than just white. I think you're going to be very pleased with the pebble finish. We went with that because the longevity, it's a 15-year warranty on that. So we're doing a lot of upgrades and stuff in there. The pump room's going to be completely redone as well. So there's a lot going on. Now the obvious question that's on everybody's mind, when? When is it going to open? Okay? So you remember we tended to talk that it was going to be sometime around the middle, end of November. Okay? We have lost a little bit of time because of the storm for obvious reasons. So keep in mind, we're not the only ones that were without power. And those that are living and contractors and all are still dealing with some of that. But we look like right now that we're going to probably be able to put water in it sometime around the 1st of November. Okay. Now remember when we talked about that, it's got to sit for 30 days, and that's for those chemicals to harden the finish and stuff. It's all circulating. And they'll be out almost every day for the first week or two, brushing the side walls, making sure that chemical balance, because that is the key to hardening the pool. So, has anybody got Any questions on the pool?
Just keep going.
What's the expected lifespan?
All right, with this double finish and chemical balance and making sure that's done, that's why we're sort of upgrading the pool equipment. It's a 15-year warranty on that, but it can go 20 years, 25 years. The key to that is making sure the chemical balance and stuff in there is taking care of that, and the tests and all are being done, in some cases on a daily basis. And that's the key to the longevity, but we're also got better material, stronger material, longer warranty on what we're putting in there. And so we did a lot of research on this and working with pool suppliers and stuff. So really excited about this, and I think everyone's going to be very pleased with that.
A couple of things about the pool. We've got a resident idea of, could we do some type of a mural or and visit with Ruth, could we work with a local artist to maybe create something? So we're still considering that as an option. I do think that space is a lot brighter with the blue, but then also the beams being finished. It's going to look really good. We're also going to visit with Clarity Pools, Skip and I, in the next couple weeks, and talk about what are those keys to make sure we can get better longevity. That may mean that we need to look at the temperature that we keep the room at, the air temperature. It may mean that we need to adjust the water temperature. So we're going to talk through those things, and then we'll visit with you all to help you understand what we need to do to help maximize this investment. We want to stretch that out as far as we can. I've got feedback from resident before that somebody was in the pool and they just propped the door wide open because they wanted the fresh air, but that's also not really conducive to us maintaining that pool. That also allows critters to come in, whether it's bugs or something else. So we're going to kind of reset on some of the best practices to ensure that this investment carries well beyond 5-10 years. So we know it's a lot of money, so we want to be smarter about it. So, questions about the pool?
Karen Howe, and I just think of this as a wonderful opportunity to go beyond even this level and think in terms of making the place really colorful and multicolored and make it pop, because when I started visiting Rolling Green years ago, I was disappointed in the appearance of the pool area, and my imagination can imagine a lot more things, some accent painting, even when I look at those stairs, what if they were red, orange, yellow, green, and blue? That's kind of, put some plants back in there like they used to be, and just put everybody to think hard about what could make it look prettier.
Yeah, like I said, I do think we're willing to consider some adjustments, but I think it might be good to have a committee of folks that use the space frequently, and talk through what could that look like. So we're open to that. I do think it's going to be a major improvement, and you can already see how it's a lot lighter.
I maintain that when you are finished, first of all, the blue is a beautiful color, and when you put all the equipment and the signs that are necessary, you don't need artwork. I'm sorry, you don't. You've got the windows to look out if you want something lovely to look at. And we have so many other places all over Rolling Green where we have commercial artwork and also local artwork. So leave the pool as a pool.
Yeah, we appreciate the feedback. There's always a balance in the work that I do. We have 650 independent living residents with 650 different perspectives. And that's where I think, like we talk about, that's where our kitchen does an amazing job. Because you just hear so many people say they do a great job. And when I've worked in other organizations, that's the first thing people complain about, is they don't like their food. So I again want to give kudos to the work that they do, because I rarely hear it, and it's awesome, because there's 650 different palettes on our campus, and that's hard. Next question.
Just a comment to Skip. Let's don't rush, Skip, because as long as we waited for this thing to cure right and get it right, I just think we all be don't be pushing for November 1st if we're not sure we're gonna be good. And that's just my advice. Let's make sure you get it the way you really want, whether it's 1st of December or 1st of January.
Thank you.
Yeah. Questions about anything else? Anything else that's on your mind? Any other questions? Skip, you got one over there? Go ahead, just hold it a little closer.
When you're talking about chemicals to, harden the pool, is it still gonna be a saltwater pool when it's done?
Yes, that's not changed. They'll set the chemical balance up, and the salt water, all that loading will be done on the front end, and just be closely monitored. Because the amount of chemicals they put in when they first started up is probably going to balance out because they're trying to load the pool, with that to get it all balanced. Yes, it'll continue to be a saltwater pool. It will feel the same. Hopefully, it'll look a lot better, and you'll find it much more refreshing when you enjoy the new colors and stuff.
Skip, did you want to mention the new security vehicle?
Okay, we got a new bus. I got jealous and went to Ryan and said, it looks like resident services, Amy's getting all the new stuff. I just get leftovers. So he very graciously allowed us to buy a brand new 2005 Honda CRV. It's white.
2025.
What did I say?
2005.
2005. Okay. So you can see it's. I'm still tired from all the power outages and the time that was here, but that's okay. Yes. 2025. It's white. It's parked out here. We're going to have flashing yellow lights on it so that you'll be able to see that from the front, the back, and the sides. So when it's going through the neighborhood, you'll see it going around. We're directing emergency vehicles in here and things like that. You'll be able to notice it. We'll have Rolling Green Village security magnetic signs on the side of it. So I want to thank Ryan for that. He also allowed us to get a couple of Garth Kochs, late model ones. So we're trying to sort of play catch up here. So we're excited about it. Any other questions?
Skip's trucks were from 2005 or earlier. And I said, we have to, these trucks, they're not, So we did get a white CRV which matches Anna Grace's car, and matches the transportation car, and matches David Newton's car. So we're in good company, but long overdue. And I think once we get the lights and everything, it'll be nice. Howard has been driving a golf cart around sometimes because of his inability to get into that truck. It's pretty high. So this will be really good for Howard too. I don't know if you all know how long Howard has been working with us. How many years does it, Skip?
It's over 30.
Over 30 years of commitment and dedication. So that's pretty special. So I'd like to rename the car for Howard. I was teasing him. Because the Schuler shuttle, we need to come up with something for the car for Howard. He kind of shrugged that off. But we'll see. Other questions? Howard McAllister is our security supervisor, the gentleman with the keys. He's been here for 30 years in that role. I think one of the longest tenured staff members that we have now since Linda retired. Howard McAllister.
What does he look like? He worked.
See if Lindsay might be able to pull up a picture for you. Who has the next question?
Okay,
I'll show you.
I do want to confess to something too. I purposely wanted the white. Part of it is so if we're running short on vehicles, I've made a copy of Anna Grace's keys, and I've made a copy of the resident services keys. So we're going to have plenty of vehicles here. So I tried to outsmart them. Who had the next question?
Since they've been transporting so many people to medical appointments, there's obviously a greater need. Have you considered expanding the staff hours?
Expanding the staff hours.
I say that because I called for an appointment 2 weeks in advance and was told there was no availability.
What time of day was it?
Oh, they don't take anybody anywhere after 2:30, which is another issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's something that we need to study. So the question was around transportation. We're seeing an increasing need. How can we better meet that need? I do think it's something we need to study. We we're probably going to be needing to replace one of those vehicles as well coming up. 2:30 time frame. I know in the past, from my experience, you have a 2:30 appointment. It might take an hour-ish. So 3:30, if it's half an hour away, 4 o'clock. So they're trying to stay out of rush hour and getting into the rush hour. So that's where I think they've got a little bit of a limit. But that's been in the past, and we can re-study that.
Maybe they can put the drivers kind of on staggered shifts. My appointment was more like in the middle of the day, and I was told there was no availability.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's a good point that we do need to look at, and we may need to add. So we've even had different staff members that are taking people. I know Shannon has taken somebody recently to help them get to an appointment. It's a great service, and oftentimes that person will stay with you. So, but no, it's really good feedback. I'll make sure to give that to Shannon.
Ryan, just a comment on the generators. Are we leaving enough room to cover ourselves around them with all the other expenses we're talking about? I mean, that seems like a pretty important part of what we need to be doing down the road. Not only replacing the 89-year-old from the 1989, but getting a more capacity. So I hope you guys are considering that.
Yes.
Even with all the other expenses we got going on.
Yeah, we are going to be continuing to consider it. I know in my time, I'll be here 11 years on November 1st. When I first started, I'm not aware that we had a generator backup for elevators, other than maybe one. So as we've continued to grow, we have looked at that and we've evaluated. We do still need to put the coffee machines on the generator up front. So we are still looking at that. So we're going to do a full assessment of the size, the year, what it's covering, what can we afford as we move forward. And we will be studying that. Generac will be here. I know one of Skip's recommendation is having the same type of machine that's here. Generac seems to be one of those industry leaders to make sure we have the right service contract, make sure we have the right equipment. Were you able to find Howard's picture?
Yeah.
If you guys get a chance to visit with Howard, this guy has a really, really sneaky sense of humor if you spend any time with him. He's sneaky funny. He doesn't come across that way, but if you visit with him for a little bit, he'll crack you up. He will.
Those appointments. And many of them in surgery all day long, and they don't have appointments till late afternoon. So I think, at least in my estimation, it seems like to me that you all have made a commitment to get us to those appointments, regardless of what time. So it may have to go back to a double shift.
Well, I think, we definitely need to study it. Danielle is now in that role, transportation coordinator, and we can definitely look into it more. You know, I can tell you on a personal level, I'm going to have knee surgery coming up. I went to an orthopedic and I sat in the office for 50 minutes, 50, before they brought me back. I actually went up and said, "Did you guys forget me?" And she kind of admitted it, but then they brought me back. So you never know how long it's going to take. And that's the hard part too, because we try to stagger them. You know, and that really is one person then there with you versus dropping you off and coming back and zigzagging with Greenville traffic and some of the things that can happen. It is a little bit of a logistic headache.
It is, but I mean, I had no control over the fact that I was denied that transportation because it was at 2:45. Now Shannon did take me and waited on me, and it didn't take that long, I don't think, but I think we were back here by about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does take some time, but we have no control over when the doctors make those appointments. And I just,
correct.
You know, some of us don't have transportation.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's a good point that we do need to look at, and we may need to add. So we've even had different staff members that are taking people. I know Shannon has taken somebody recently to help them get to an appointment. It's a great service, and oftentimes that person will stay with you. So, but no, it's really good feedback. I'll make sure to give that to Shannon.
Ryan, just a comment on the generators. Are we leaving enough room to cover ourselves around them with all the other expenses we're talking about. I mean, that seems like a pretty important part of what we need to be doing down the road. Not only replacing the 89-year-old from the 1989, but getting a more capacity. So
Correct.
I hope you guys are considering that.
Yes.
Even with all the other expenses we got going on.
Yeah, we are going to be continuing to consider it. I know in my time, I'll be here 11 years on November 1st. When I first started, I'm not aware that we had generator backup for elevators, other than maybe one. So as we've continued to grow, we have looked at that and we've evaluated. We do still need to put the coffee machines on the generator up front. So we are still looking at that. So we're going to do a full assessment of the size, the year, what it's covering, what can we afford as we move forward. And we will be studying that. Generac will be here. I know one of Skip's recommendation is having the same type of machine that's here. Generac seems to be one of those industry leaders to make sure we have the right service contract, make sure we have the right equipment. Were you able to find Howard's picture?
Yeah.
If you guys get a chance to visit with Howard, this guy has a really, really sneaky sense of humor if you spend any time with him. He's sneaky funny. He doesn't come across that way, but if you visit with him for a little bit, he'll crack you up. He will. Next question.
I want to go back to the appointments idea. We have no control over what time the doctors fix those appointments. And many of them in surgery all day long, they don't have appointments till late afternoon. So I think, at least in my estimation, it seems like to me that you all have made a commitment to get us to those appointments, regardless of what time. So it may have to go back to a double shift.
Well, I think, yeah, we definitely need to study it. Danielle is now in that role, transportation coordinator, and we can definitely look into it more. You know, I can tell you on a personal level, I'm going to have knee surgery coming up. I went to an orthopedic and I sat in the office for 50 minutes, 50, before they brought me back. I actually went up and said, "Did you guys forget me?" And she kind of admitted it, but then they brought me back. So you never know how long it's going to take. And that's the hard part too, because we try to stagger them, you know, and that really is one person then there with you versus dropping you off and coming back and zigzagging with Greenville traffic and some of the things that can happen. It is a little bit of a logistic headache.
It is, but I mean, I had no control over the fact that I was denied that transportation because it was at 2:45. Now Shannon did take me and waited on me, and it didn't take that long, I don't think, but I think we were back here by about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it does take some time, but we have no control over when the doctors make those appointments. And I just,
correct.
You know, some of us don't have transportation.
Yep, and we do offer it. I think we can look at those time frames. We can look at who is helping us. We do have an extra vehicle now with resident services that I'm sure could be leaned on from time to time to do that. Correct, the driver.
They don't schedule enough drivers.
Yeah.
And they're all scheduled, I think, for the same block of time.
Okay.
So they can stagger.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll definitely share that with Shannon. I think it might be good for Shannon to kind of talk about how they do it. Maybe at our next meeting, that'd be good. Next question. Pickleball. Still waiting on Greenville County approval. We have finalized some of the plans. We did get a recent bid from Clancy, which I was not really excited about because the cost went up. So we're waiting for some clarification on that. But we are hopeful to start with grading the middle of November at the latest, based upon the county approvals.
Why can't you do the same thing with pickleball that you did with the swimming pool and find a facility that would give us
So the question about the same type of thing, finding a different facility to go to for pickleball. I know that some of our residents are already doing that, and that's the hope is we can have it here. So I'm not sure how that would benefit. Some folks are already deciding to do that. If they don't want to use the one here, they've already got a relationship. I think there's a new course in Greer. So I think we're just so close to having it that, you know. Yep. So the question around temporary, I've got quite a few questions around that. The pickleball court is part of phase 2. And we've been talking about pickleball here for I don't know how many years, maybe going back to 2018, 2019. So it's been years and years and years. And we've said we would do it. Now we actually worked into the plans, and then we said, okay, but now you got to wait 3 more years. I felt like it was something that we talked about so much, and that is an increasing number of residents are interested in, that as we're going through construction, we need to have something to look forward to, something a little bit of a distraction, you could say, and not wait for it to be put in at the end. My hope was for it to be put at the 4-way stop, right by Hoke Smith and Trail Oaks, but the construction crew indicated that that's a laydown area that they would really need to use for their equipment and for some of their vehicles. So they did not recommend that. We could do it, but then we deal with all kinds of vehicle traffic, all kinds of construction issues. So the recommendation was we'll put it back here until the project is done, and when the project is done, then it will go in that final place. But I do feel that, you know, as we're going to work through some headaches of construction, there needs to be something for folks to look forward to during that time. How many people am I talking about? It's hard to say exactly how many. I think there's at least 15 to 20 off the top of my head. And I think if it's here and it's accessible, it could be more. But we've never seen it here before. So I do think that it could be something to attract residents and some folks to learn, just like having a kiln and a creative art studio has brought back people an opportunity to be a part of that maybe didn't before, wouldn't call themselves artists. So I do think it's an opportunity, and I do think that it will grow.
Is it really worth $250,000?
That's a good question. And I do think that it is something that we've talked about for a while, and I do think it's something that residents do value and that we do want to execute on. The pricing is something that we're going to be looking at. It's not $250,000, so, but it still is a lot of money, but it is still part of our strategic plan, and it's something that we want to deliver on. Next question. How much is it? It's ranged between 150 and 200, so it's not 250, but we're reviewing it as we speak. Next question. I've got 4:13, so we're a little over on time. I'm happy to answer any of your questions one-on-one.
This is not
Go ahead, Jean.
But I'm glad to see Howard's photo up there. I know he's been here 30 years.
Mhm.
But I'd like you to shout out to a gentleman that works in our dining room. His name is Sylvester.
Yep.
And I believe he was the second person hired after Linda. So he's been here.
Sylvester's been here quite a while too, you're right.
So I'd like to see.
Yeah, and he is an amazing person too. Do you have a picture of him? Oh, that's not Lindsay. It's not Lindsay. I don't know if she can figure it out. But Sylvester Kennebrew actually was a housekeeper for, I think, at least 20 plus years. And we knew that Bruce found out from working with the housekeeping department that Sylvester worked part-time at Thornblade as a bartender, and said, hey, what do you think about switching to working in food and beverage? Because he had some of the skill sets. So that's how he made that switch during COVID. And he's soft-spoken. His last name is Kennebrew, very soft-spoken gentleman, but just very kind and very caring. So last name with a K, if you go up. Kenn. Okay. Right there. It still has him under environmental services. So he has glasses now. And like I mentioned, he's a very quiet guy. He would be probably really embarrassed if we put his picture up. He knew that. He's very soft-spoken. He will not call attention to himself. Just very kind, very great guy. So we have a lot of great people here. So he's just one of many. Well, thank you all. It's a little bit after time. If you have any other questions, I can answer them. Thank you. Have a great day. So, let's go ahead and get started.